Well guys, it is the end of July, and as promised, we are loaded up and ready to head out across the state to check all of our trail cameras. We have 21 different trail cameras spread out across 14 different parcels of public land, all the way from Allegheny County, Maryland down to Worcester County, Maryland. And we've pretty much decided that it would be best for us to basically just take a week and travel from one end of the state to the other and just collect the trail cameras and kind of scout along the way and try to find some new areas, along with finding out what's in the areas that we scouted already. It's going to be a long week. It's going to be hot, but it should be a good week. We're really excited about some of these areas that we've scouted in the previous months, and a lot of these areas are areas that we didn't even get to show you guys in our previous scouting videos. It's an exciting time of year. We're finally going to get in here and get a sneak peek into what lies ahead for this season. But I hope you guys are ready to stick around and you're in it for the long haul, because this is just the beginning. The best is yet to come.
Let's get it, dude.
So we just made our way a few hours down the road, and we made it down here in time that we actually have time to run in and grab a camera before we go set up camp. Truck's parked on the side of the road behind us. Just went ahead and kept the Crocs on. And we're gonna roll in here, see what this place has to offer. These mosquitoes are so bad, we're not even gonna check this camera right here. We just grabbed it off the tree real quick, and we're gonna rush back to the truck and go check it when we get back there. So Matt and I just rolled up into the Walmart parking lot for the night. Apparently Maryland state parks don't allow you to camp just for one night. You actually have to rent a campsite for at least 2 nights in order to camp somewhere. So being that we are not staying in any one place for more than one night, we are forced to just camp in random places. And tonight, the most convenient spot for us was the Walmart parking lot. We're gonna sit here, just kind of enjoy the sunset, check these trail camera pictures, and hopefully come up with something to show you guys.
There's a buck.
Yeah, look at him.
5:30 in the morning.
Well, we got one good buck on that first trail camera. We're definitely really excited about the cameras that we're going to be checking in the days to come. It was a long drive down here. We're posted up for the night. We're about to get camp set up, get the grill fired up, cook us some dinner, and we'll get back with you guys tomorrow. We out. So this first area that we're headed into today, much like the rest of the areas that we're going to check cameras at and check out some areas in today, have crop fields. So I'm curious to get here and see what the crop fields are planted in this year. Hopefully some of the fields are planted in soybeans and not corn, so that we can watch some of the fields in the evenings and show you guys what comes out. The first area that we're going to go in and check out is actually an area that I have a camera hung in. I found some beds this past winter, and we're going to go in and check that camera, pull it out of there, and then we're going to head to the opposite end of this property and check out a bedding area that I didn't have a chance to check out yet that actually looks really good. So we're excited to get in here and show you guys what we find. So we just got to where I had the trail camera, and you can see this cedar standing behind me. And right here on the ground, you can see where there was a scrape from this past fall. And I put the camera back here on this leaning branch overlooking this scrape. And there's a lot of heavy trails coming out of bedding. It's only about 100, 150 yards this way. There's more beds, probably about 75 yards this way, and then only about 50 yards away, there's another really big bed right on the other side of this brush with a heavy trail running right by here and right out to this scrape. The scrape looked pretty big when I was here back in March. Still pretty good size from the fall. It looked like it was a community scrape that they're kind of using as they were coming out of this bedding area. So hopefully we have something nice on there when we check it when we get back to camp. All right, guys, so that area we were just in, we just took the SD card out of the camera and put it in the computer here, and you can see I put the camera up back in April, and toward the end of May we started to get some pictures of some bucks coming out of this bedding area. You can see this buck's got some decent bases. He's probably a 3-year-old buck, nothing too fantastic. Another buck there that looks like he's definitely a decently mature buck, at least a 3-year-old, decent bases. And then as we got in toward the end of May, you can see here this bigger bodied buck we got a picture of that had a really nice main beam coming off already. And that picture was taken on May 30th. As we went on throughout the month of May, we had multiple different small bucks, immature bucks, nothing we'd want to harvest. Coming into the bedding area, some does, some bigger bodied bucks again, some of them with some decent bases, some look like 3-year-old, maybe 4-year-old bucks. And as we carried on into the month of July, the movement continued coming out of that bedding area, and you can see here there's a decent 2, maybe 3-year-old buck coming out of this bedding area. Not quite sure if that's anything we'd shoot or not, but he still has some growing to do, who knows. And then carrying on throughout the month of July, you can see here on July 8th, still with a lot of growing to do, this buck ran by the camera into the bedding area, and he has a significant rack already on July 8th. And finally, here on July 22nd, only just about a week ago, here's this buck that looks like he's probably a 3 or 4-year-old buck, nice 8-point. Again, still with some growing to do, heading out into that bedding area. Poor Sweepy Matt. Old boy can't hang. Apparently he needs 20 minutes. That's a long time, bud. Got some stuff to get done. We just got to the second area where we're going to go in and pull a camera. And this area is a little different than the first area we went to today and the next area we're going to go to where we're going to camp. This area is actually pretty swampy. It's not really marshy. Basically, I found an island of oaks out off of a bedding point that I found. And on that point, I found a few beds looking out into the marsh with all the brush on the point. Where the dry ground was at their back, looking toward the oak island that I found. And there was a lot of deer sign coming from that bedding to that oak island, and a lot of sign of them feeding in those oaks right there on that island. So the hope is that they're bedding there year round, and we'll have something on camera in there. And then when those oaks do start to drop this fall, we can go in there and hunt over the acorns that are on the ground in there, and hopefully we have some luck. So you can see as we made it out to the tip of the mainland, we had to basically wade through the mud, through that swamp, to get out onto that oak island where my camera was. We eventually made it out there, and we pulled the camera off of that island, and there was some fresh deer sign going out onto that island, not a ton, but Like I said, I'm not expecting there to be a ton of sign there right now. All they're probably doing there is bedding and not necessarily feeding, which will change as those oaks start to drop acorns on those islands out there. Just chilling, enjoying a nice Pop-Tart, checking pictures. Already, that's a big buck. It's all him. Look, there's daylight. All these pictures are him. There's him again. He's bedding out there all the time. So we got that one really good 10-point on camera in this area. As I said before, it's kind of a secluded island out in the swamp. There's a lot of oaks on that island, and there are acorns on those trees. I just checked with binoculars while we were out there getting the camera. Being that he's bedding in there as often as he is, when those acorns start to drop on that island, he's definitely bedding close, and I should be able to sneak in there on him with the right wind direction and kill him off those acorns. Just chilling here, taking a break for a minute and reminding myself why I work so hard to kill these things. Meanwhile, Matt continues to remind himself why sleep is important. When I was back here scouting in the winter, this was actually one of my favorite spots that I came to. You can see all around me, it's pretty thick, and it's like this pretty much the entire property. As I mentioned, there are crop fields here, and there's actually some fairly large crop fields here. With that being said, all this thick cover being here, and with it being so wet around here, and then also having those fairly large crop fields, all of that spells out being able to house a lot of deer. On top of that, when I was here back in the winter, I saw a ton of deer sign, a ton of deer tracks on this trail that I'm walking on right now. When I get a little further in, it turns into sand, and it was just absolutely littered with deer tracks. When I got all the way to the back of this piece of property and out into where it turns into marsh, I actually came across a really heavy trail with a community scrape right on the edge of the mainland where they were heading out into and coming out of the marsh. And I followed that trail in, and I found some really good buck bedding out on a point out in that marsh. So that heavy trail going into that buck bedding is where I ended up hanging my camera. Well, I almost made it the whole way to the camera. Luckily, I didn't wade out through the marsh yet, but I completely forgot I used climbing sticks to put this camera up in the tree further so that nobody could steal it. So I'm actually gonna have to wait for Matt to get out here so that I can stand on his shoulders, or that he can stand on mine and pull the camera down. So I guess I'll just take the time while he's walking the 2 miles back here to scout around these bean fields a little bit and see if the deer have been coming out anywhere specifically. As I'm walking into the edge of these soybeans here, I mean, this entire property, all the crop fields are completely covered in soybeans. You can see here where they're browsing off the tops of these soybean plants. Every single one of them. All the tops are missing. There's a lot of deer sign, a lot of heavy deer trails coming out of some of those woods back there, coming out into the soybeans. And we're definitely gonna try to get set up in an area where we can see as much as possible out across the soybeans. Should make for an interesting evening. And just as an example here, actually, of things to key in on. So I was just back here and around the corner and in these back soybean fields. And I showed you guys all the browsing on the tops of the soybean plants. And you can see here in this front field, there's no browsing here at all. All the tops of these plants are still here. The plants are whole. The deer aren't browsing on these plants. That's brutal. just made it over here and got camp set up, and no sooner than we did, of course, Matt's already passed out again. But you can see here we got the old trusty grill, propane bottles for it. Got the computer here set up, getting ready to check pictures with the power packs sitting there handy, ready to go. We got the canopy set up for the thunderstorms that might come this evening, and then in here underneath the topper on the bed of the truck we got our bed. Pretty nifty little setup, should get us through the season. So the trend of the day continues. I no sooner than open up this card, the first picture is us, and for some reason I guess I forgot to change the date, or the camera messed up at some point or something, but the date says July 7th, but it's actually today, which is the 31st. And earlier that morning, right before we came in, around 2:30, at 10:30 in the morning, two pretty nice bucks. We're heading into this bedding area. And then you can see again a few days ago, one of those nice bucks out there bedding again, a smaller buck, a doe and some fawns. And then again a smaller buck, and then that same buck again coming out with a different buck. They're using this bedding area quite frequently. Again here, even another buck that I don't think we've seen yet. It may even be the buck that was with the wider buck that we've been seeing in these pictures, but this looks like a fairly mature buck here. Definitely a 4-year-old plus buck. Not a super heavy rack, but definitely a nice rack, and definitely a mature buck. And then you can see here that more mature buck of the two really nice shooter bucks that are heading out into this bedding area. Here's him heading into the bedding area on back-to-back mornings. Then again, the morning before that. Again, even the morning before that. The morning before that. Coming out that evening. He's going in late in the morning, coming out early in the evening. He's definitely comfortable in there. All in all, really happy with the card pulls today. You can see we've got mature bucks on all 3 cameras that we pulled today, which doesn't happen very often. Although we do have bigger bucks on camera than this most recent buck. He does look like probably the most mature out of any of the bucks that we have on camera. That being said, it's definitely an area that we're going to key in on. We're definitely after maturity more than we are antler size. And being that he's using that area as consistently as he is, he should be a definite killable buck, and he's going in and out of that area in broad daylight, so it should be interesting come fall. That's pretty wild. There's a buck down there with him. Big one? No. Young one. 4-point it looks like. Maybe a 6. It's kind of tall. Probably a 2-year-old. So as you can see, me and Matt just made it to the edge of this cedar row right here, up to where this bean field runs down into this bottom, and down in the bottom corner there was a young buck and a couple does feeding out already, and it's still 2 hours before dark. So instead of pushing all the way to the back field like we were going to, it looks like we're going to be able to just sit up here and have a little bit of action. So hopefully something else comes out before dark and we can get some more bucks on video for you guys. Well, that field that we were watching in the beginning cleared out pretty quickly, so we decided again to try to make our way to the back field. And again, on our way there, we ran into a little issue. I don't know if you can see them or not. Well, Matt and I just finished up our evening sit watching the beans. No mature bucks decided to show tonight, but we did end up getting some footage of a few young bucks and a lot of does. There's definitely a lot of deer in this area. It's an area that we're definitely excited to come back for this fall. Had a lot of nice bucks on trail camera, as you guys saw. And again, definitely a lot of deer in the area. Now we get to head back and enjoy night sleeping in the great outdoors. That's a big buck. 2 of them. One in the front's definitely more mature. Well, needless to say, we are on bucks, and mature ones at that. And once we get back in here, we're gonna go in here and pull a couple more cameras, and hopefully something like what's hanging out in that front field is back here in this bedding area where the camera is. Alright guys, so as you can see, it is raining on us now, and Matt had to pee. Being that it's raining, we're gonna have to leave our good cameras in the car. We just can't take a chance at ruining those. As we work our way through here, there's more crop fields. Hopefully we see some more deer out in there, hopefully some more mature bucks like those ones out in these front fields. And since we don't have the cameras, maybe hopefully not. Well, we made it out alive, and we are back in the truck and in dry clothes. You can't win them all. As you guys saw, we went back and trudged through that marsh, trying to make it out to those islands where we had those trail cameras. We got out there, got the cameras, got back, just checked them, and there's nothing on there. There is some sika deer, but no whitetails and no mature bucks at all. I definitely think this is a good area to hunt. There is a lot of deer sign in there, but based on what we found in the past days, I think a lot of our focus is going to stay on the 3 properties that we checked out yesterday and the day before, and got all these really good pictures on trail camera. We came out empty-handed here, trail camera picture-wise, although we did see those 2 really nice bucks in the front bean field this morning, so we definitely are going to come back and hunt this area, check it out a little more, and try to see what we see come out in the beans early season. But our main focus is definitely going to be on the 3 properties that we pulled trail cameras from yesterday and the day before. As you guys saw, we got a lot of really good pictures on trail camera, a few really nice bucks, mature bucks that we're going to target. All in all, it was a really good week. We had some really good card pulls. We saw a lot of really good bucks out in the bean fields, a lot of deer out in the bean fields. We continue to give ourselves reasons to be excited for this fall. We hope you guys are right there with us, and we'll see you guys in 6 weeks.